Patrick Hellman, and this is...
I'm Sophia Sperling.
And we're occupational therapy students talking to a behavior therapist here today.
Elon Kowski.
So, behavioral therapist.
Behavioral therapist, yes. What does that entail?
Primarily work with children who have pervasive developmental disorders and autism. And with those disorders comes a lot of deficits in language, motor skills, play skills, social skills. And on the flip side of that, they have excesses that range from like aggression, stereotypy, which is something like they perseverate on certain items, or certain types of sensory input behaviors like gazing, hand flapping. So as behavioral therapists, our main goal is to go in, decrease deficits, and decrease excesses and increase skills where there are areas of deficits.
How would you define a deficit?
Something that is lower functioning than the average.
And so you increase access?
We would increase skills.
Skill level.
The skill level where there are areas of deficit. So we would work on something like language, if language was a deficit that one of the children had. And we would try to decrease excesses like the stereotypy, the gazing, try to get them to focus and do it appropriately. We can implement something like a kaleidoscope, for instance, to help their sensory input with a gazing, and then kind of redirect them so that they are behaving appropriately in the setting.
Okay, so what kind of settings would you see these clients in?
Primarily the home settings. That's where we teach a lot of the skills that are required, and then we will see them also in school, and that's called natural environment training, and that's where we kind of use the skills that they've learned and generalize them across natural environments.
Okay. So, do you set goals for these clients?
Yes, goals are set primarily by program directors with parents, and there are IEP meetings in schools that have to do with occupational therapists as well, speech therapists, anything that's going to help the child increase the skill. Anybody who helps a child increase the skill is required in this meeting, and that is where the goals are usually created.
So in these IEPs, what professionals would you typically see?
You would definitely see the teacher, the principal, the speech therapist if there is one, occupational therapist if there is one, the program director for behavioral therapy. The behavioral therapist is usually not in the meeting. The goals are handed to us, and then we implement the strategies to attain those goals.
So how do you work side by side with the occupational therapist?
Usually we spend a lot of time in school with the child, mostly all day. So when occupational therapy comes, it's only a certain amount of time, and we want to give the child the most out of it. And so we try not to get too involved, but we are there in case we need to intervene. So for occupational therapy, whatever goals you're working on with the child, that is a one-on-one or a class, however you're running the occupational therapy session, and we kind of shadow. We sit in the corner or in the back, or if we need to, we'll sit next to the student. But we try to fade back and
just
be observant, and intervene if necessary. Some excess would be like aggression. If the kid's having a really rough day, sometimes it happens, and their excess is biting. We would make you aware that that is something that they are engaging in at that time, and we would intervene if it became an issue during the session.
Okay, so that was pretty informative. So what kind of education did you have to receive to become a behavioral therapist?
To become a behavioral therapist, you do need a bachelor's degree. It's helpful to have it in the field, like psychology, sociology, anywhere in that area, but it's not necessarily required to have it in the field. As long as you're passionate about working with children, and working, to attain those goals, and just open-minded, then you really just need the bachelor's.
Mentioned some typical behaviors he would deal with in clients would be gazing, hand flapping, and biting. And Sophie here is going to demonstrate some of those behaviors and how Elon would treat these while working with an occupational therapist.
So what she's gazing, what we'll do is we'll try to redirect her attention without bringing attention to the gazing. So we're not going to say, look at me, but what we'll do is we'll put our hand in front so that the eyes have to get redirected, and then we will follow that up with an instruction. What we'll do is we'll put our hand in front so that the eyes have to get redirected, and then we
So
will...
today I'm going to be working with Sophie in her social interaction and her social skills. Should I be aware of any tendencies she has?
Yeah, actually Sophie's been doing a lot of gazing lately. So if you see that, don't bring attention to the gazing. Just put your hand in front of her gaze, don't move her head, and redirect her eye contact back to you, and then you can deliver your instruction.
Okay, so I won't address her, I'll just... Okay.
Yes.
Hi Sophie, how are you doing today?
I'm okay.
You're doing good?
Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. How was your day? What did you do today? What did you do today, Sophie?
I had breakfast and I read a book.
Nice. What book did you read?
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. That's one of my favorites.
So with hand flapping, it's kind of the same thing. We don't want to bring attention to the behavior, but what we'll do is we'll just physically prompt them, redirect them back to us, and deliver the instruction. What we'll do is we'll just physically prompt them.
So today with Sophie, I'm going to be working on her pincer grasp, and we're going to be using an app where she pinches a crab to work on her fine motor skills. Should I be aware of any behaviors that this might affect?
Yeah, actually Sophie's been engaging a lot of physical stereotypy, a lot of hand flapping. So if you see that, kind of just take the stimulation away, physically prompt her hands without drawing attention to it, and when she's calm, you can reintroduce the stimulation.
So today we're going to be pinching some crabs on the iPad here. So what I want you to do is I want you to take your thumb and your index finger, and I want you to grab the crabs as best as you can, just pinching them individually. Oh, nice try. Almost. Good job. Okay, Sophie. Okay, here we go. Ready? On the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. We're going to pinch the crabs. Good job. Good job.
So with biting, this is one that can be very injurious to the person or the person interacting with that. So we have to be very careful. It's another physical prompt, but we don't pull away from the mouth. We feed the bite so that it opens the jaw, and then we can bring the hand out. We don't bring attention to it unless a tantrum follows, where then we can down. 5, 4, 3, and then we can proceed with instruction once the person has calmed down. We can also implement deep breaths if that's necessary. Feed the bite so that it opens the jaw, and then we can bring the hand out.